All right, YouTube, beginner tattoo course is now live. Today in this video, we're going to talk about and break down pretty much everything that's inside of these modules, along the courses, common questions I got about the course, different things, and just going over the whole overview. So if you had any questions about it, if you want to know kind of what is inside of the course, this video is for you. Let's get into it. It's crazy because the more you progress in an industry or a skill set or whatever it is, you almost forget about the things that you struggle with that you used to swear you will never understand. And that just goes to prove, even though like right now you might be feeling like, bro, I'll never understand how to line or shade, or this is what I struggle with and I can't really get over this and I don't think I'll ever understand this. You will, bro. It just takes time. It takes patience. Just embrace the journey and just keep rocking, bro. Because one of these days, bro, it's gonna click and then you're never gonna be able to unsee it.
I've had the best tattoo experience with you than I've ever had with anybody else.
Bro, that's beautiful stuff. That's sick, guys. So wrap on that project, man. For real.
I kind of wanted to just give you guys a rundown and a breakdown of why I put this together and what my thought process kind of was when I was making this. All right, so after you purchase the course, this is what it's going to look like. You're going to get these three little icons. So what you're going to do is after you purchase the course, you'll get an email that says access course content or access content, whatever it is. That little button, you're going to press that. You're going to log in with the same email that you used to check out when you bought the course, and then you'll get access into here. So you'll see these three little icons. This is the actual course. So this is the actual course. This is the PDF for, it's like a 19 or 20 page PDF of everything from products to things like diagrams that I talked about in the course with kind of like a text breakdown. And then this has all the stencils that I went over in the course, and it has like a reference page and then also like the actual stencil. So that will be in there. So let's first start with the actual course. So inside here, we're gonna just I'm gonna show you the interface and what it kind of looks like inside the course. So in each of these modules, they have like a little drop down menu. So if you wanted to go to module 4 or whatever, it has the intro and then it has the actual like the course material inside of it. Only one that doesn't have an intro is this first one, but it's just product knowledge, so that's why. So in here, let's say for the product knowledge one, right? All of these videos I try to keep as brief and straight to the point as possible. So the entire course, I think when I added it up, it's about 3 hours and 40 minutes, I think, without intros. So 3 hours and 40 minutes is the actual course content. If you care about numbers and how long it is and all that stuff, it's about 3 hours and 40 minutes. Again, not including intros. So that's just actual course material. In each of these, like I said, they're about 20 minutes, give or take. Some are a little bit longer, some are a little bit shorter. Like the shading, 24 minutes. How to pack black is 18 minutes. The setup is 30 minutes, stuff like that. So I tried to, again, keep it as brief and straight to the point as possible. I could have made this 10 hours long and then been like, well, see, it's 10 hours long. Look how much you're getting for only $100 and all this. It's like, dude, I don't care about all that stuff. I care about getting you guys the value in a short period of dude, I can't talk. In as short of possibility. I cannot get these words out. I don't know what's wrong with me right now. The quickest and most efficient way I try to get you guys this information. So, like for lining, it's 19 minutes. And you're like, well, how am I going to learn how to line in just 19 minutes? You're not. A lot of this is going to be reliant on your practice and reps. Pretty much long story short, I tried to make this from the perspective and like the vantage point of when I first started and what I struggled with. So there's a lot of stuff on YouTube now. There's a lot of different courses out there. There's a lot of different things that people have out there. And I watched majority of it, especially 3 years ago or 4 years ago or whenever it was. I literally probably watched everything that was on YouTube and read every blog and every piece of content I could get my hands on, I got. And the one thing that was always frustrating to me is that I felt like no matter if it was a course, if it was somebody's YouTube channel, it had most of the things or some of the things that I was looking for, but it didn't have like everything. You know what I mean? And how I approached this was I tried to touch on every topic, but go into like what the real meat of it is that matters, and then move on to the next place. So like in product knowledge, right? In this section right here, I started with a whole section on just box labels alone. So you can see I went through, I showed the difference between like quadrants and Bishop's label, how they're different. What are some of the key differences? How to even read the box label, what each kind of number and section of letters and all that kind of stuff, what it means. I did a whole breakdown on the actual iPad and showed like a diagram, how I break it down, how it's more easily like able to read, you know what I mean? And then for stroke, I went through and I showed like 3 different machines that I have, like a 2.5, a 4, a 4.5, what each of them are good for. I made like a diagram for that. Let's see. I showed even like examples on fake skin of like the difference between what the 4 looks like versus like the 4.5 and why you need different ones for different things. But then my overall recommendation would be like this type of machine rather than this machine. You know, that's what all this is for. Breaking down what stroke length even means, like examples of it. I gave an example in there that I heard from somebody that really made a lot of sense to me. So I break that down. For lining, the way that I put this together was I at least had somewhat of a piece of the video showing kind of my hand placement and the hand motion, because I think that that's somewhat important. And then all this in between it is more like, let me see. Then you guys can see like in the zoomed in camera, you can actually see like the needle depth and the line closer. I went through and showed like if you line it too light or too slow, it kind of looks like this, versus if it's oversaturated, then this is what it looks like. Just kind of like a rundown of like riding the tip versus riding the tube, the good things about either of them and which one I would rather do or rather have you guys do. But again, it's not drawn out. Like I could have spent 5 hours on just the lining category alone. Lined something else, did another lining example of this, did a 3-round liner, a 5-round liner, a 7-round liner. I could have like just milked it. But in my opinion, there's no point, because the same, you know, logic you use with a 7-round liner is the same one you would use with a 9-round liner or 11-round liner. You know what I mean? It's kind of self-explanatory and somewhat common sense. So I covered what I think is necessary and then moved on. You know, a lot of this, bro, is just going to be practice and reps. So you use this as a guideline and then try it for yourself, follow along, then do it by yourself, follow along again, then do it by yourself. And then eventually, once you kind of understand things and keep referencing these videos, you'll eventually just kind of get the hang of it through reps and, you know, just practice, you know. Same thing with shading. I use the same kind of like camera angle. So one is more like zoomed in. One is more that you can at least see some of my hand motion. again, I didn't really want this to be the focal point. I wanted this to be the focal point, but I still think that it's necessary for you to see kind of from a further perspective of like what my hand motion looks like, you know, so you can kind of emulate it and practice it accordingly, you know. So another thing that I wanted to mention and point out is that if you go to this setting tab right here, you can click on quality, and then you can actually go to like a higher quality. So it's going to be naturally set at probably like 720 or something. But if depending on where you're watching it on, like if you're watching it on your iPad or your computer, or you have a smart TV or something like that that can show 4K, I shot all this in 4K. The only one that isn't is this first box labels one, just because I was dealing with the iPad and a whole bunch of boring stuff. But on this one, it only goes up to, I think it was shot in 1080. So that's the only one. But this one doesn't have anything like super zoomed in, so it really doesn't matter that much. It looks honestly just the same. But these ones, it does matter because you're actually able to see when it is in 4K, like more of the actual like needle strokes and the depth and the needle like more clear. So as long as you have something that can do 4K, this monitor that I'm showing it on right now only shows 1080, so that's why. But if you have a monitor or a device that can show 4K, definitely switch this to 4K. Let's see, what else did I want to talk about? So yeah, in the shading techniques one, I went over, I think it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I think 6 shading techniques, all the way from like pendulum to backstroke, front stroke, raking, cross hatching, a little bit of stippling I touched on. Again, this is a brief overview where I only put in what I felt like was necessary. So I show each of the techniques, and then you kind of pick the ones that you like the most. So for instance, on like the raking technique, like the backstroke, I kind of talk about where it would be useful for, like faces or something softer, compared to if you're pushing and doing a pushing motion. So I encourage you guys to kind of use this as a guideline and then go and practice the same thing. Draw the same boxes, do the exact same techniques that I'm showing, and then pick which ones you like the most. For me, I use maybe two or three of them still to this day, and that's all I use. I use raking, I use pendulum, and then I use cross hatching. That's pretty much what I use to this day. I showed stippling, but for me, I don't use it too much. So I just showed kind of the concept of it. And then you can practice it from there if you like that, or if you like the other ones better. Let's see. Packing black. For this one, I did these 3 shapes. And then I kind of just went through and showed different size configurations, like needle configurations, and how to pack black with them. So for this one, I did a 7-round liner. So I showed how to pack black with a liner. For this one, I used this 11 mag. So kind of like a more medium size mag or a smaller mag. How to pack kind of like in angles and use a mag for that. And then same thing with this square right here. I used a 27 mag. So this whole course, I simplified everything. So from gray wash all the way to the needle setup to the machine, everything is simplified, because this is honestly how I think is the best way to learn, is more simple. Meaning like you don't try a 3-round liner, a 5-round liner, a 7-round liner, a 9-round liner. Like you just try a 7-round liner, an 11 mag, and a 27 mag. That hits pretty much every category. A liner, a small to medium mag, and a 27 mag, which is like your bigger mag. And then you can see which ones you like better. And then you don't have to spend all this money like I did when I first started, where I bought a 3-round liner, a 5-round liner, a 11 mag, a 13, 15, 17, 23, 27. Like I bought every single type of needle, different configuration, because the people I was watching or things I was reading, everyone uses a different setup. So I was like, well, this person says this is good for this one, and then this person says this is good for that one. And it was just like I was so overly complicating everything, and I ended up not learning anything. You know what I mean? So that's why I try to just simplify this as best as I can, because honestly, this is the same pretty much setup I use to this day. I simplified everything from my gray wash to my needle setup to my machine to my organization on the tray. I think simple is better. And then for those times that you think, you know, let's say you don't really like this 11 mag and you do better with the 13 mag or 15 mag, or it's a little bit bigger of an area, but it's not too big for like a 27 mag, then you get a 21 mag or something, you know. But I try to just simplify it and categorize them as best as I could. Small, like a liner, a little bit bigger, like a small to medium mag, like 11 mag. And then here's like a bigger mag, 27 mag. So how to pack black with all those. The other thing I did in this course is I approached this the same way from when I was doing practice skin. So I also got a lot of feedback from different people that I know have either bought in other courses or is just now learning on their own. And I just asked them questions. And one thing that a lot of them told me was they felt like courses that they've watched or videos they've seen is very in depth, but it almost goes over their head, where they're pulling out like a ruler and they're showing like 1.5 millimeters into the skin is the depth you need to be at, and you need to be at this much. And they show a ruler, and then like this other one, like one of my friends was telling me about, like he used his like pinky to show the depth on the video or whatever. And it got my friend into thinking like, okay, this is what I have to do every time. So he was like measuring on his pinky every time he was doing fake skin. And he was like, bro, this is like ridiculous, you know? And I thought about doing that in this course, like doing super in-depth diagrams, showing every little detail. But I was like, bro, in the reality of the situation, when you get into tattooing, none of that stuff really applies. Like it helps you kind of understand it, I guess, but eventually, bro, it's just like muscle memory, and you just know the right depth. So I show depth on this stuff, like especially in packing black. I show how to pack it more with the needle out versus sucked in, the circular motions versus kind of like back and forth motions. But I mean, I just think a lot of those diagrams and stuff, like from the feedback I got, it was like they'd rather just see it, you know? So that's what I did with this. Let's see, setup. This is about 30 minutes. And what I did in this one is I just kind of went through a whole organization of my tray, what I use, how to make gray wash. That was a big one. Let's see, what else did I show in this one? How to wrap your stuff, your furniture, all that kind of stuff. Just to make sure that you're not doing like cross-contamination. Again, this whole course is for true beginners who have never even like held a machine, doesn't even know what ink is, doesn't know what anything is about anything to do with tattooing, all the way up to about like a person who maybe understands what tattooing is, like how to tattoo a little bit, but struggles with the fundamentals, struggles with lining, you know, packing black, shading. So if you are a person who maybe understands how to set up and how to do sanitation, you may not need those as much, but you might need, you know, these main modules of like fundamentals and brushing up on techniques and seeing it, you know what I mean, compared to you trying to learn from this YouTube page, then this course, then this mentor that you have, and then practicing on your own. This is kind of just all from my perspective from start to finish. So let's see. And then there's a stencil module about stenciling. So this first video right here, I broke it up into two parts. It's kind of just like the actual hand stenciling, how I do it, different little like tips and tricks with Procreate and like different brushes, like you can see right here. Follows that line. I kind of talk about how to get your brush to work the best, like how you would want it. And then I show actually like stenciling it, and I do like a piece of it. Everything also in here is I'm doing a piece of everything I'm showing you. So you'll see right here. Well, let's get through the stencil one first. But part 2 to this was actually printing on something that I feel like most beginners are going to start with, or you might still use to this day, is this this stencil printer right here. This is like a super common one to start with, and I know people that still use it to this day. It's really good. I mean, I still would use it if I didn't get the printer that I have now. But yeah, so I did it on this one because most people are going to start with this one. So I just show how to do it in case you don't know how to do it already. Again, just for those super beginners out there. And then sanitation, did the same thing. It's about 8 minutes. I just quickly ran through everything, things that you would need, how to break down properly. And then this guided practice, this last module, is 56 minutes. So it's almost an hour of literally me tattooing a piece of this design. So again, the reason why I did this is because I made a design that is like mirrored. So I did this one first so that you can practice the exact same thing. So I do it from start to finish. This whole section right here, this one leaf right here, I do start to finish. The reason why I did that is because I want you to practice the exact same one. So mirror me exactly, right? I walk through it all. You can hear me talking as I'm doing different things. But then you reprint the stencil and then you do it on your own. So this is the same thing mirrored on this side, but now, like I said, it's mirrored. So now you're doing the same approach we did over here, but on the opposite side. So it gives you a little bit more of a challenge because now it's mirrored, but you have something to reference. And then these are pretty similar, but they're a little bit different. So you can use the same techniques that we did down here, now do them up here, but they're a little bit different, you know? And then I did this in somewhat of chronological order. So you learn product knowledge first, understand why you're using what you're using, then lining, then shading, then packing black, and then you're setting up and then doing the stencil. And then again, this is a little out of order, but it's just kind of how I put it in there. And then the real-time tattooing. So essentially, if you follow this module for module and you get these down, by the time you get to real tattooing, you will be able to just put those fundamentals that we practiced and what we talked about and what I showed into real practice with me as like a guided follow along. You know what I mean? And then from there, you can just start doing things on your own. So some of this, you can just, if you're practicing the packing black, you're like, okay, I remember how he packed this black in this area. Okay, I'll probably use like a liner, and then I'll come out and I'll angle the mag and I'll use the 11 mag in this smaller area. And then for this is a bigger area, so I'm gonna use a 27 mag and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? And then this one is kind of a combination of all of it. So you're lining, you're packing black, you're shading gradients. You know what I mean? It's kind of like put it all together without it just being a legit boring ass circle. You know, at least you get to see when you get done, if you do it correctly, like, oh, it's actually like a leaf. Like, that's dope. Like, I made a leaf, you know? And then you can just expand as you get better. You know what I mean? So, let's see. Then at the end of this, you can open this in a separate tab, and this is like the PDF file. So this is like a 20-page PDF file, and I put everything in here that you would need. So from pretty much like day one to like if you have no products, if you have no knowledge of what to get, where to start, that's why I made it. And then even if you do have stuff, but you're like, oh, well, I'd like to invest in something a little bit better, or what was the thing he was using? I like that a lot. Whatever it is, right? That's what's in here. So again, it has a lot of like the diagrams, different things, just a little bit more of a written out statement, like in text. And then all of these are like they're all clickable. So I all made them with actual links. So if you want to click on one of these, like you're like, oh, I need that, right? Then you go down here and it goes directly to your Amazon account. So if you have an Amazon account already, just by clicking that link will go exactly into your Amazon app. And then you can just hit add to cart and then build your whole cart from that. You know what I mean? So I think that's pretty cool just for ease of use. You know what I mean? And I did that with everything. So these are the two types of inks I would use, like either use this one or use that one. I show everything. And then I did this thing with money signs. So this to kind of help you guys reference like, okay, this is like the cheaper option. This is a little bit more expensive. And then this is the most expensive option. And I did that with pretty much everything, all the way down from printers to furniture to needles. This is the other thing, is that these are all my recommendations and I put like what they're good for, why to use them, all that stuff. And then when you click on it, so if you've known me for a while, you know that that I never usually recommend people to get like tattoo products on Amazon, especially needles, right? Like you guys, I'm sure have heard me say this multiple times, like get it from an actual supply company. But there's two reasons why I did this. Number one is because if you go to here and go to Amazon from this, I did a bunch of research and I found out that Quadrant actually sells on Amazon now. So this is the actual Quadrant brand. You can see it right here from their store, and they sell on Amazon. And they have every single type of needle you could want. Everything in their inventory is on here pretty much. So that's what made me feel confident in like being able to put this on here and kind of recommend this, because normally, or I used to not recommend that, but now because they actually sell this through Amazon, I'm like, okay, you're pretty much buying through Quadrant. So this will help two things. The reason why I did this was number one, ease of use, because who doesn't like Amazon? And two, I've gotten a lot of emails or comments I've gotten a lot of emails and comments from people who have said like they're in states or countries or whatever. They're in places that they really don't have access to be able to like buy from certain companies. So that's why I did this. So now you're able to. Let's see. Another thing is like just the fact that they have all their inventory on here. So I put recommendations of like what I think you guys should start with and what is more than enough to start with, and the sizes, the configurations, all that kind of stuff. But if you, let's say you're like, well, I don't really like the 17, I want something like a 15. You can go here and they have the 15 right here, you know? And then again, if you remember, if you watch through the box label section, I break down what all these things mean, because a true beginner, and even somebody who's a little bit more advanced, maybe like you understand the fundamentals, most people don't understand what a box label truly means. Like they might know a good amount of them, but they don't know in depth like what all these different things mean. So you can just always refer back to that module, and then you'll be able to see like how I break it down and what things mean what. And then same thing with like furniture and stuff. This is what I use now, and then this is what I started with. Again, kind of like little money icons to show you like this is obviously cheaper, this is more expensive. Things that I think that are essentials to have, like these. I put little notes for you guys to make sure you remember all this stuff, you know what I mean? And these are all like the essentials. And then Mad Rabbit, I put a whole section on here. If you click any of these, it will take you to Mad Rabbit's site, right? And what you do is you go through and click what you want, let's say you wanted this numbing cream or whatever, right? You hit add to cart, and it will add it to cart, but it adds the discount code in there already. So you'll get 25% off your order, and you won't have to put in the code or remember to put in the code or anything like that. You know what I mean? So it doesn't add the actual items to the cart like the Amazon links do, like with everything else. Like all these are directly linked, but this one, it will automatically put my code in there. So you will get 25% off your orders if you use these links, and then just add what you actually want. So like, let's say you want these 3, but you don't want this one, you can just directly add it when you're in the website. I have like a tech page on here. So I put the different iPads, the pencil, and these are directly linked to Amazon as well. So yeah, pretty much everything I use, what I started with, the apps, all that pretty much is on here, bro. So this one is for the stencil. So I gave an actual, like, I think it's 4 pages. It has like the references on there, and it has the actual like made stencils. So if you just want to print out the exact ones that I was using, you can do it here, print the files. Yeah, so pretty much everything you need is going to be in these 3 things right here. The biggest thing I try to emphasize with all of this is ease of use. I wanted a really cool, like, good looking interface like this, because I know a lot of courses, like, that is a big frustrating point for people, is like not being able to use it easily. So I section them in modules. I have a little drop down menu, so when you're done with something, just put it back up, go to the next one, click the intro, watch the intro, and then go to the next video, play that video, so on and so forth. And then you can always reference back to these. Again, you'll have lifetime access to these things, so you can come back to this whenever you want. If you want to learn a little bit one day, then come back to it another day. Want to watch it all in one day, whatever you want to do, rewatch it a million times. That's what I suggest doing. Just keep watching this again and again, especially when it gets to like this product knowledge. If you have no idea what any of this means and you watch this for the first time, it's going to go over your head. You're going to be like, what is going on? Because learning this stuff is like learning code. This to me was honestly the hardest part about learning how to tattoo in the beginning for me, was understanding what machines do, stroke length versus throw, the box labels, like what you're actually getting in these boxes. Like, dude, I'm going to try and find a picture, but I bought so much stuff in the beginning that was so unnecessary, like short taper, medium taper, all this random stuff, because I was like, I have no idea what I'm getting. So I just bought everything to try everything, you know? So I tried to explain things in case you were curious, like, all right, this means this, in case you want this. But again, if you refer to the PDF, I put the things that I'm like, look, if you don't understand a lot of this, if this is going over your head, bro, just refer to the PDF of what I suggest you get, and then just get those things and start with that, because those are the same things that I use to this day, you know? So, and then once you get an understanding of everything, then you can kind of go in there and be like, all right, well, I understand what medium taper is now. So I actually want to try a medium taper, you know, box, because again, a lot of these, you know, most of these places, they don't sell needles individually. So you're going to have to get like an actual box, especially like a good brand like Quadrant. I mean, you're spending anywhere from $25-$30 a box all the way up to like $75 a box. And to just buy one of those just to try it and then figure out like, bro, I hate this type of needle. Well, you just spent $60 and then times that by how many needles you did that with, bro, you're spending a grip. And most of the time it's for no reason. Like most of the time I bought something new, I never was like, oh yes, this is perfect. You know, it was like, bro, why did I get this? I should have just stuck with what I was using, you know? Let's see, what else did I want to talk about in here? Like I said, I cannot keep emphasizing this anymore. Like, this is a beginner course. So if you are a true beginner, all the way up to if you kind of still struggle with these fundamentals, setting up sanitation, like you just want to run through of everything from my perspective. Because I started without an apprenticeship, I didn't have an apprenticeship, I'm self-taught, I didn't know how to draw before I started. Like, you want that from my perspective, that's what this is for. If you are a person that understands the fundamentals, you know how to set up, you know how to do sanitation, you know how to do everything, like you're already tattooing pieces and they're pretty good. You're already doing like medium-sized pieces and you're like, you know what? I want to take that next step up. Wait for my advanced course, please. Do not waste your time with this one, you know? But again, I say all this because I know that a lot of people are out there. If you're anything, especially like I was in the beginning, I'm like, as soon as I hear advanced, I'm like, look, I don't want nothing to do with the beginner. I just want the advanced. I didn't care if I knew nothing. I was like, I just want the advanced one, you know? If you're a beginner, this is what this is for. You know, if you still struggle with these things, get this one. And that's why I made it so cheap too. Is because if you're kind of on the fence, like for those people that are on the fence that, you know, because I know there's a lot of you out there that are kind of in this boat where it's like, well, I don't really feel like, I feel like I'm past the beginner point, especially like the things he's talking about there in there, like lining and packing black. Like I already know how to do that stuff. I'm just going to wait for the advanced. This is why I made it so cheap, is for you guys that are on the fence. And for people who are just getting into this, because I remember what it's like I didn't have bread like that, you know? So that's why I did it that way. So you can still buy it and be like, okay, I at least learned, you know, 30% new things in here. It was still worth it, you know? Rather than making this 10 hours and then charging even more for it, where you're like, well, you could have learned something from it, but it's not worth it at that point. You're going to save for the advanced one. The advanced, the only reason why I would recommend just completely bypassing this beginner one is, like I said, if you are doing tattooing pretty regularly and you're doing small to medium size pieces and you're doing them well, you know, then the advanced is going to be good for you to like really step your game up into that large scale work. If you like my type of style, how I design, how I tattoo, working with clientele, placement, designing, using big mags, manipulating the mag, angling it, lining with it, all that kind of stuff, wait for the advanced, you know? But for everybody else, I feel like this is a great fundamental. That's why I called it the fundamentals, a great foundation and a great building block. Even if you kind of know some of this, or maybe you went through like a shitty apprenticeship that only lasted like a month, or you didn't learn much from it at all, this is going to be a good building block. Again, that's why I made it, you know, $100. I feel like you can't pass up on that, you know, if you're in that position. So if you guys have any other questions for me, feel free to comment them below, whatever it is, and I will get to them. I'll respond. And yeah, I'm excited. This took a lot of time to do and put together for you guys, but I'm really happy with it. I really am proud of what I put into this, from camera angles, it being in 4K, just the simplicity of the interface and the usability of this, because I know that was a big thing for me that I wanted to make important, that it was like really easy to use, really easy to find the things that you're looking for. Having a PDF in there with clickable links that you can just like add the products that you want. If you're looking for like new products, all the way to the stencils, like having that as references. The follow along practice, I feel like, again, I made it like a balance where I didn't want to overwhelm people, because in all reality of things, bro, like as a beginner, you're not going to, even if I made this a 20-hour course, you're not going to watch that. And even if you did watch 20 hours worth of course, you're not going to be able to consume that and actually use that, you know? So I feel like a lot of people do that with courses. Like they put a bunch of fluff in these things just so they can say, hey, it's 25 hours worth of course content, but then they just ramble. You know what I mean? This was just straight to the point. Rewatch the 10-minute video, the 20-minute video again and again and again until you get it. Practice exactly what I'm showing, and you're going to have a great building block to kind of start your career, you know, and then practice that while this advanced course is getting made. By the time that's out, then who knows? If you really put the time in and the energy in and you are a true beginner, but you get all this down pretty packed, who knows? You might be ready for that advance when it does drop. So I think, like I said, I put so much time into this stuff. I really hope you guys get value and benefit out of this. If you are in this position of being like a beginner, again, I will say this till I'm blue in the face. If you, this should not supplement like an apprenticeship. So if you have an opportunity to get a really good apprenticeship, get the apprenticeship. You know what I'm saying? I keep it real over here, bro. At the end of the day, like, I don't need to sell you guys on anything. This is just things that I put out here and explain what it's for. And my goal is always to help people. You know what I mean? And I feel like, you know, this is one of those things that I learned a lot by doing this. It really like pushed me to learn how to teach. I went over this with a lot of different people, got a lot of different feedback on people's learning styles and all this stuff. And I pretty much did all this myself. So putting it together, building the website, doing all that. And I know you guys, that doesn't matter to you guys. Like that doesn't matter, you know? But it just makes me feel good that this is finally out there now, because this has been something that I've been trying to work on and had the idea for probably, I don't know, at least a year and a half. You know, I think like last year or even a little bit longer than that, I shot a whole video and pretty much announced that I was going to be doing this kind of stuff, and just got busy with things, put it off. And that was another reason why I was telling you guys I put a deadline on this, because I wanted to put a fire under my ass and like put a stop date on this, because I've said this a million times about myself, is that I will just keep like redoing things, redoing it again, being like, nah, I'm going to scrap this, redo the whole thing. And eventually at the end of the day, you guys won't get what you want, you know, because I'll just keep putting it off and doing it again and again. And now I finally like put all my effort into it, and I have something to show for it now, which I'm super happy about. So again, if you're a true beginner, I feel like this is a great place to start. If you are more on that fence where you're like, I know some of the fundamentals, but I need to brush up on them and I want his perspective on things, this is still a great thing for you. And then if you are above all that and you are slanging out dope pieces already, but you want bigger stuff, you want to learn how to do bigger stuff, then wait for that advanced course. So I don't have a date on that yet. My time period is roughly like in a couple months is when I'm thinking right now. But I don't have an exact deadline for it. So yeah, I just want to kind of run through everything with you guys, show you some of the things that I've been putting together and what is inside of these courses and what you get. So hope you guys like it. If you have any questions, make sure you comment down below and I'll reply back to you guys. I appreciate you guys for real. All the support, everything you guys have been showing, mad love. I appreciate you guys. Shout out to you. Hopefully this helps. Keep grinding, keep putting in the reps, the practice and everything. I believe in you, bro. Peace out.